Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Grace, and on this channel I share sewing tutorials. In today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make this premium overbust corset. And if this is something that you are interested in, trust me, this is the easiest tutorial you are going to see on this subject. So stick to this channel and let's get started on the pattern drafting, cutting and sewing. So this video is going to be the pattern drafting parts of this tutorial, and the next video after this is going to be the cutting and the sewing tutorial. Kindly give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. First, I'm going to create a starting line on my pattern paper, and from that line I'm going to be taking my horizontal measurements. So that line is my shoulder line. So from my shoulder line, I'm going to take my chest line measurement at 8 inches. To get your chest line, divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 or 2 inches to it. So I'm going to take the measurement of my bust point at 10 inches. Then from this shoulder line still, I'm taking my under bust measurement at 13 inches. So I'll go ahead and also take my half length measurement, which mine is 17 inches on the front. Then I'll draw a straight line across also. Then the last but not the least is the full length of the top, which mine is at 25 inches. So I'm using 25 inches for the full length of this top. So I'm just labeling my lines: my chest line, bust points, the under bust, the waistline or half length, and the top length. I'll place my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on my shoulder line and also on the chest line, and connect the 2 points together with a straight line. Then on my neck depth and neck width, I'm using 3 by 3, which is the normal neck depth and neck width. Then I'll come down from that shoulder line by 1 inch to get my shoulder slant. After that, I'm going to be placing my bust part measurement divided by 2 on all my lines, starting from the bust point. Mine is 4.5 inches. Then instead of connecting everything together with a straight line, I'm going to give it a slant. So on the under bust line, I will come in by ½ inch, on the waistline by 1 inch, and 2 inches on the top length. So I will now use my ruler to connect those lines together to form a slant line instead of a straight line we used to have for the darts normally. So now on this line, on this under bust line, I'll go ahead and take 1 inch on both sides for my under bust tightening. I'll do the same thing on that waistline and the half length, and I'll use my straight line to connect those points together. Then I'll use my curved rule to also connect them to the bust points directly. Make sure that you blend your curves very well so that you don't have sharp edges. Then on the dart line on the top length, come out by 0.75 inch on both sides and connect your dart leg to it. On my shoulder slant line, I'll go ahead and measure what I have there and divide that into 2. Then I'll mark that point and use my straight ruler to connect directly to my bust point. So I'm going to be creating my overbust line now, 2 inches above my chest line, and my off shoulder is going to be 6 inches off like that. So I'm just drawing a straight line across. Then to determine my overbust tightening on each side of the line, I'm going to be coming in by about 1 inch, and I'll connect those points together to the bust point also using my curved ruler. Then I'll take my bust measurement divided by 4 and place that on my chest line, and also replace what I have in between the darts in that area. And I'll go ahead to this shoulder line, get the midpoint, go in by ½ an inch and connect my armhole curve together. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is that on my under bust, I'll take my under bust measurement, replace what I have in between the darts. I'll do the same thing on my waistline, take my waist measurement, measure what I have in between the darts and place it over there. And on the top length, I'll take my upper hip measurement, divide by 4, place it there, and also replace what I have in between the darts. Then I'll connect those lines together like so. Now the difference that I have between my back half length and my front half length is about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to use that to create a bust dart. So I'm coming down from the bust point by 1.5 inch, and I connected that line to the bust point to create my bust dart. Then on this top length, I'll come out by about 2 inches to create that conical shape for my blouse, and I'll also come up by the side by 1 inch and connect it to my dart area like that. So it's going to give it this shape at the end. Next, I'm going to cut from the down part. So I'm just cutting the down part alone so that I'll be able to slash through my darts. So I'll slash through my darts up to the bust point area, but I'll make sure that it doesn't reach the bust point totally. So I'm doing this so that I'll be able to fold in my bust darts. So I folded in my bust darts, and I'll go ahead and use my masking tape, my paper tape rather, to hold it together so that it doesn't open up again. Then I'll also go ahead and slash this shoulder dart into two, making sure that I don't cut through it all the way. So I'm going to be folding it in also. So just watch the way I'm going to fold this together. So I'm just folding them together like this, and I'll go ahead and use my paper tape to also hold my fold in place. When I'm done, I'll go ahead to my chest line, come up with about 1 inch. That's where I want my sweetheart neck to stop. Then I'll go up from the midpoint of the shoulder by about 1 inch, and I'll going to add what I have in between the darts, which is about 2 inches at the side, so that I will be able to create a new armhole. So this is the new armhole depth now, and I'm also adding to the chest line area to be able to have the armhole curve over there. So from the beginning of the new armhole now, I'm going to connect to the neckline area. So if you want yours to be deeper, you can start from the chest line or even lower than that. But note that your cleavages might be showing. So on this side, I'm just going to connect to my underbust line like this to avoid having shortage at the end of the day. So the next thing is to take off my tape from there and open up my excesses. So I'm just going to use my marker to connect those lines together. Then I'll go ahead and mark those points that are not necessary out, and I'll cut out this pattern. So just go ahead and cut out your patterns like this, cut out the dart areas, and leave out the necessary areas. So just watch as I'm going to cut this out. So after cutting, this is what I have for the front pattern. Then for the back, I brought out another piece of pattern paper, and I'm going to be putting the front pattern on it like this so that I'll be able to mark my lines. So I'm going to mark my chest line, my bust point line, my waist line and the half length, then the top length line too. So I'm just giving it points. And remember that on the top length we already took off about 1 inch. I'm going to replace that, and I'll just mark the points to be able to create my horizontal lines effortlessly. So I'm just placing my rules to be sure I'm on the right track, and I'll go ahead and create my horizontal lines like so. So on the back pattern now, the difference between the bust point and the waist length has reduced because we already folded in our bust dart in front with about 1.5 inch. So instead of having the difference of like 7 inch, we had about 5.5 inch now. So I labeled my lines, and I'll go ahead to place my bust pan measurement divided by 2 on all my lines. So we are going to be having a straight dart on the back. Of course, I'm going to use my straight ruler to create the straight line, and on my waistline I'll come in by about 1/2 inch on both sides and connect to my chest line and also to the top length directly. So after doing this, I'm going to be placing my circumference measurements all around, and on the waistline, when I place my waist measurement, I'll replace what I have on this normal darts, and I also place my upper hip measurement at the top length area. So I'm going to also add what we have for the shape that we gave the front, which is 2 inches. I also added it to the back. Everything that I did in the front, I'm going to do it at the back so that we won't lose those details. So I came up by 1 inch also and connected just the way I did earlier in front. So I'm going to be taking off 1 inch to give my back a little bit of shape, and I'll connect with my ruler. Then from the center back, I'll take off 2 inches for where the eyelets are going to sit at the end of the day, because this is not going to be having a zipper, it's going to be having eyelets. So I just went ahead to take off 2 inches away from all my lines to cut out that area, and that's where the eyelets are going to sit. So I'll go ahead now and cut my pattern for the back out. So just go ahead and cut your patterns. Then when you are done, it's time to snatch our waist, and I'm going to be snatching this particular corset by about 3 inches. So I just place the front and the back together to be sure we are on the right track. Then on this front line, I'm going to be creating another slanty line towards the center from the armhole. So you can place it anywhere that you want, just create a slanty line. And on my waistline, that half length line, I'm going to be taking ½ inch on both sides. So when I take this ½ inch on both sides, I have 1 inch already. So I'm just connecting that to the bust point line and also to the top length line. So we have 1 inch already on this side, and you know we are going to be cutting 2 sides out for the front. So that's 2 inches that I have snatched my front with. On the back, I'm also going to create a straight line. Make sure that your line is not slanty at the back. So create a straight line. And I'm going to be taking 0.25 inch on both sides of my line on the waistline of the back, connecting it to the chest line and also to the top length. So I've successfully taken ½ inch on one side, and when we cut this on both sides, that's going to give us 1 inch. So I have successfully snatched the waist of this corset by 3 inches. So the next thing now is to go ahead and label all my patterns, because by the time we cut this out, it's going to be kind of difficult to understand how to place them, especially for the back pattern. So just label them in a way you'll be able to label to understand it. I label side back, the center back, the middle back, and also create arrows so that you'll be sure of where they are going to be joined together. So you can use that label too: center front, middle front, side front. Then I'll go ahead and cut out my darts. So these are the 3 front pieces, and also these are the back pieces. So we have 3 back pieces and 3 front pieces that are going to be cut in twos. So I placed this on my fabric and I created allowances all around. For the areas that are going to be joined together, I added about 0.75 seam allowance around, and for the side front and side back, I added about 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and cut them out. And why I added as much as 0.75 seam allowance instead of ½ an inch that we do normally is so that I'll be able to iron the allowances open when I'm sewing. So at the top, I only added ½ inch, And on the down parts, I didn't bother adding allowance because the length that I used originally is okay for me, and it might even be too much, so I don't want to add another seam allowance. So just go ahead and cut out your pieces. So in the next tutorial, we are going to be joining these pieces together. Make sure that you stick to this channel and also watch the sewing parts of this tutorial. So these are the pieces we are going to be using.